Alright, so my video analysis is going to be over because I Could Not Stop for Death by Emily Dickinson. I'm going to read through the poem and kind of analyze it as I go along. I think that's the easiest way to go about doing it. So here we go. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. Right away, death is introduced, obviously, as a main focus, kind of a main character. The way it's described in line 2, he kindly stopped for me, he represents death. So death is already right away introduced as an actual human, performing human actions. So, in a way, death is a character that represents what it is, death. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. So, obviously, the carriage, the ride they're going on, has to do and relates to life in general, whether it be the new life or the end of an old life. It has to do with, immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. The slow travels that they're describing here kind of represent the way the death possibly was, how it ended. So it suggests more that the death was a slow process, like a long illness or some long, uncomfortable situation, rather than a quick death that could have been like a gun wound to the head or something like that, or, It also suggests that the death was without struggle, so it had a quick end. It wasn't painful for the one dying. We passed the school where children strove, at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain, we passed the setting sun. In these lines, he is changed to we, so the speaker is now referring to death and itself as one person, in a way. So it's also suggesting kind of the speaker is possibly dying as well. And the passing that keeps being brought up is almost as a passing out of eternity rather than just a passing through town. So right away, at this point, you can kind of infer that death and the speaker have some form of connection, possibly death being a male figure, possibly a lover, and they're traveling, making a journey together. And it's obviously not necessarily going to have a happy ending. You can infer from this part too. Or rather, he passed us. The dews grew quivering and chill. My only gossamer, my gown, my tippet only tulle. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the chorus but a mound. So here you can kind of take that death was polite and courteous, and the speaker didn't have a painful end. It was a quick end, which I said before. They're reaching now at this point the end of the journey. So the home that's visible could be representing the house of the speaker, and there's a mound on the ground, which could be a mound of dirt, representing a coffin, or like a what's the word I'm looking for? A grave. So they're reaching the end of their journey at this point, reaching home, the final destination, which it also seems to be that the final end will be death. Since then 'tis centuries, and yet each feels shorter than the day I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. So they're passing out of eternity. They've reached the end of their journey. The speaker is now, you can take as no longer dying, but more so has died and is dead. And the story is it's being about death makes it rather tragic, and it doesn't exactly have a tragic tone, in my opinion, but more so like the situation is sad, but at the same time it's two lovers going to their end together, where they're going to be in eternity, which makes it less of a sad tale in a way. So it's kind of puts off a vibe of both, I would suggest. And so yeah, this poem, I would say, circulates mostly around death, and you can take from parts of it what they symbolize and take that it was two lovers who cared deeply about each other and were going about their way to eternity, where they could be together forever even if they weren't alive. It was along those lines.